Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Sammy Ketchum, and welcome back to Sammy Ketchum TCG. Today, we're coming to you with a Sword and Shield update of Pikarom. Alright? I've done many deck profiles of Pikarom in the past, but this one is going to be talking about the Sword and Shield update for the upcoming format. Pikarom gets a couple new cards, some new tricks, things that it could do to make this deck faster, quicker, better, to make this deck really worth playing in this format. There are a lot of factors going into why this deck will be really good, and I'm going to go over with them in this deck profile. So let's jump into it. We have ourselves 2 copies of Pikachu and Zekrom GX. Has 240 HP. Its first attack, full blitz. Almost said flare blitz. 150 damage. You search your deck for 3 lightning energies and attach them to one of your bench Pokemon. For 3 electrics. This attack is probably it's like the heart of the deck is the start of the deck, how you get things going. Turn 1, turn 2. There are many ways to get this going pretty fast. This attack going pretty fast. It's for 3 energy, but you can get it popping off fast. There are many things in this deck that can get it going fast. The GX attack, Tag Bolt GX, does 200 damage. If you have 3 extra energies attached to it, you can basically do 170 damage to a Pokemon on the bench as well. So you can basically knock out the active and knock out a Pokemon on the bench. This is really good. It's so good that people are now teching the bench barrier Mew in decks just to stop it. There's also ways to make this cost ineffective. Well, there's ways to basically make this cost less. And we'll go over that in that program. Let's go with 1 copy of Alolan Raichu and Raichu GX. This is basically kind of like the second attacker, the bad boy of the deck, the Bash brother. You've got its first attack, Tandem Shot, which does 80 damage for 2 lightning and a colorless. If this Pokemon came from your bench this turn, then he can do 80 more damage and you can paralyze him. So if it comes from your bench, which is possible to do, you've got switches, you can retreat, things like that. You do 80 more damage. So that's 160 damage. With an electropower, it's 190. Which really isn't bad at all. And you get to paralyze. Paralyzation is really good. It's still really good, even now. Then his GX attack, probably the GX attack we're probably going to use in this deck is Lightning Ride GX, or as I like to call it, Black Lightning Ride GX. Basically what it does is that it does 150 damage if this Pokemon has 2 extra lightning energy attached to it. So basically 5 lightning energies. You're not going to play anything other than lightning energies in this deck. So if this has 5 lightning energies attached to it, it does 100 more damage, and you get to switch this Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. Doing 100 more damage is really, really good. So if it does 150, that'll be 250. With an electropower, that's 280. 280 knocks out ADP. 280 knocks out Mewtwo and Mew. You hit all the tag teams. Okay, that is very, very good. Tag teams are still going to be important in the Sword and Shield format. But we're going to have Pokemon that are higher than 280. But with this attack and with a couple of electro powers, you can reach them. You can reach them. All right, 2 copies of Dedenne GX. Dedenne GX is in here for its Dede Change ability. What Dede Change does is that you can play it from your hand, and you discard all the other cards in your hand, and you draw 6. This is so very good in this deck. You draw so many cards off of it. This really helps you go faster. You have to play Dedenne, especially with the turn 1 rule. With the turn 1 rule now in effect, Dedenne becomes more valuable because you can draw cards off of this, and you can get your hand, you can get your setup without playing a supporter. You know, which is very, very good. Very, very good. And the reason why this is so good is because you'll draw cards like Quick Ball, Electromagnetic Radar. You'll draw a lot of items and stuff that you could use before you even play this. You know, and then you play this, and then you draw more cards, which is very good. So yeah, this card right now in this deck is busted, even though it is a liability because of Mega Lot Bunny. Mega Lot Bunny basically punishes Pikarom for playing too many GXs. You know, but Mega Lot Bunny's effect will actually go down some because of all the V Pokemon in Sword and Shield. You know, but it's still a great card to play because people are still playing GXs, and you can still get value out of Mega Lot Bunny. You know what I'm saying? I just think Pikarom would be too fast to kill right now. You have 1 copy of Zeraora GX. Zeraora GX is really in here for its Thunderclap Zone ability. If you have an electric or a lightning energy attached to one of your Pokemon in the active position has free retreat. So whatever's in the active position, if they have a lightning energy attached to it, they have free retreat, which is really good. So if I go from Pikarom into Choo-Choo, well, Choo-Choo, yes, Raichu, then I can get off Raichu's extra 80 damage and paralysis because I retreated him because of Thunderclap Zone at free retreat. Alright, it's also not a bad attacker. You know what I'm saying? His attack does 160 damage, which is very good. You know, it's like 10 more than full blitz, but you can't use it during the next turn, which is fine because you can free retreat him. You know, his GX attack is okay. You know, we really probably won't use it in some matchups, but I'll go ahead and note it. Full voltage GX. You can basically take 5 energy cards or 5 lightning energy cards. Energy cards or lightning energy cards? No, just 5 energy cards. So It doesn't have to be lightning energies. Just 5 energy cards from your discard pile and attach them to your Pokemon, which is very, very good. Very, very good. That is busted. That is busted. So in some situations and in some games, you probably will use that GX attack. One of the new cards from Sword and Shield, we have ourselves 1 copy of Tapu Koko V from Sword and Shield. Its first attack, it does 20 damage and it lets you draw 2 cards. Its second attack for 2 lightning and a colorless. It does 200 damage. And it's 200 damage. Why is this good? This is good because it's basically like doing Tag Bolt, except without the extra effect, because it does 200 damage. With 200 damage, you can basically play an electropower and hit 230. Hitting 230 will actually hit most of the Pokemon V Pokemon. You can knock out most of those Pokemon V Pokemon. Most of the regular Vs cap at like 220 or 230. And with an electropower, you can get most of those V Pokemon. So that is one of the reasons why this is good. You know, to basically take down the other V Pokemon. You know, with 200. Not the VMAX. The VMAX are too high. But the regular V Pokemon, yeah, this guy could take him out. 1 copy of Tapu Koko Prism Star, the other Tapu Koko in his deck. Use its ability for Dance of the Ancients. You remove him from play from your bench to get 2 lightning energy cards from your discard pile onto 2 of your Pokemon on the bench. Very good energy acceleration to help you get off full blitz, to help you get off your other attacks, to help power up Choo-Choo and Pikarom. Very, very good energy acceleration. Have ourselves 3 copies of Jirachi. Jirachi's in here for its Stella Wish ability. Stella Wish, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, and you could take a trainer from among them. Yeah, trainer from among them, and add it to your hand. Take a trainer item. Yeah, trainer. It's trainer, right? Yeah, reveal a trainer card. Yep, I was right. Trainer. Yeah, trainer. Yeah, so trainer card. So you can get a stadium, you can get a supporter, you can get an item, you know, anything that will basically help you, you know, will be really good with Jirachi. Jirachi is very good, especially now with the turn 1 rule going into effect. You can use Jirachi, get an item or something, and you can keep playing. You could get something like Quick Ball, Electromagnetic Radar, Electropower, you know, anything that could basically help you turn 1. It could really, really be very good. Alright. Last but not least, last Pokemon. 1 copy of Absol. Absol is basically in here to kind of stop other people's Jirachis. Jirachi has 1 retreat cost, right? But with the escape board, with the escape board attached to Jirachi, it'll have free retreat. But this says this gives Jirachi an extra retreat cost. So if this gives Jirachi an extra retreat cost, even with the escape board attached to it, it'll still have 1 retreat cost. So it still need 1 to retreat, even with the escape board. That's how powerful this card is. This will stop this. This will stop other players' jirachis in their tracks and keep them active. You know what I'm saying? And having this in the deck is very good against other decks because we know other decks will play jirachi. So, is this just in here to stop jirachi? Absolutely, because jirachi helps other players so much. You know, it helps them get cards that they wouldn't normally be able to get. And if you stop their jirachis from retreating, they can't basically do what they really want to do. And if they can't do what they really want to do, that gives you more time to do what you want to do. You know, if that makes any sense. All right. We are gonna move into the supporters. We have ourselves 4 copies of Volkner. 4 copies of Volkner. Self-explanatory. Search your deck for an electric energy or lightning energy and an item and put them in your hand. So this is very good. You can get reset stamp, quick ball, electromagnetic radar. You can get so many things with Volkner. Volkner is like probably the go-to supporter in this deck. Like you could get just about anything that could help you win the game. And I'll tell you more about that when I get into the items and stuff. But yeah, it is so good. It is so very good in getting you things that you need, especially a lightning energy. You know. 3 copies of Professor's Research. Discard your hand and draw 7 cards. This speeds up your deck so much. This speeds up your deck so much. I'm really glad Discard Draw 7 is back. This speeds up your deck so much. After you go first, or if you go second, and you have a chance to play this, play this. You could sit there and go quick ball, electromagnetic radar, dedenne, and then off the dedenne you get this. And then you go, okay, now I'm gonna play this, draw 7 more. So it's like you go quick ball, electromagnetic radar, dedenne, draw 6, and then it's like, oh, I still wanna dig, I still wanna get cards I need, boom, I'm gonna draw 7 more and keep going. Busted. Freaking busted. There's no more to say about it. Freaking busted. Four copies of electropower. Electropower gives your electric Pokemon 30 more damage for the turn that you use this. So it'll make Pikarom's full blitz do 180. If you use another one, that'll be 210, and so on and so on. It'll make this Thunderbolt attack 230. It'll make this, what is it, 190 to 220. It'll make the Dedenne's little attack do 80 damage. So Electropower can really help you close out games because it could just up your power by 30 for each one you use, which is very, very good. 4 copies of Custom Catcher. What Custom Catcher does, it has 2 effects. The first effect basically says that if you have less than 3 cards in your hand, you can play this and draw until you have 3. Alright? You can play this until you have 3. 3 cards in your hand. So, if this is the only card in your hand and you play it, you could draw 3 cards. If you have one card in your hand other than this card, you draw 2. And so on. You know. And the second effect is that you could play 2 of these at the same time. And if you play 2 of these at the same time, you can bring up one of your opponent's Pokemon from the bench to the active spot. So yeah, it's a great gusting ability. And Custom Catcher gets better in the Sword and Shield format because of Pokemon V's. The reason why is because Pokemon V, they are not GXs or EXs. So you can't use Great Catcher to bring up these. So you have to use something like Custom Catcher to bring them up. And it's really the best gusting effect we got to bring up other stuff other than GXs, which is very good. So using 2 at the same time to bring up one Pokemon or a Pokemon, or doing this twice, well, 2 in one turn and then 2 on another turn. Not all 4 at the same time, if you get it. But you know what I'm saying? So, but using this is very good to bring up these Pokemon, because you have, other than that, you have no other way to do it. So alright. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, 4 copies of Quick Ball. Oh man. Oh, my light is messing this up. But we have 4 copies of Quick Ball here. I don't know if you guys can see that. You know, what Quick Ball does is you could discard a card from your hand, insert your deck for a basic Pokemon, and add it to your hand. So, but you have to discard a card for this now. The old Quick Ball basically just says search your deck for a basic and add to your hand. With this, you have to discard a card, which still isn't bad. And this deck is very good because you want things like some of your electric energies to go to the discard pile for Tapu Koko. You know, things like that. So yeah, discarding 1 is not a problem with this card. You know, not a problem. I really hope you guys can see that. The Quick Ball is really in the light there. Some really bad lighting, especially actually on the Choo-Choo as well. And the reason why the bad lighting is on the Choo-Choo is because it's rainbow rare. So yeah. So I know you have a tough time seeing that. 4 copies of Switch. Switch your active with one of your bench Pokemon. Very self-explanatory. You need 4 copies in this deck. Just basically switch out Jirachi, switch out your Pokemon. This to help against other opposing Absols that people play in their deck. You know, so that's why we have the 4 switches. Two copies of Electromagnetic Radar. I did have this at like 3, but I cut it down because, I mean, I'm going to be going through this deck so fast that you're basically going to draw into most of the things we need. Another reason why I cut the 3rd one is because most of the time, I'm usually going to start with one of these. I'm usually going to start with one of my GXs. I'm going to start with one of them. And if I'm going to start with one of them, and I'm going to search my deck for 2, you know, later on, like if I start with 1 and then use this to search for 2 more, I don't have too many more in the deck that I really need to search for. I'm going to be drawing, I'm going to be discarding cards, I'm going to be drawing a lot of cards with the dedenne, Professor's Research, to basically get out everything I need. And after you basically use one of these, you may not even need to use the second one because you're drawing so much. You know, so I think it was a good call to cut back on 3 of them. 2 copies of energy switch. I actually had 3 energy switches in here as well, but I cut the energy switch for other techs in this deck that we actually need. So 2 copies of energy switch. Switch one of the energies from one of your Pokemon to another Pokemon. You know, self-explanatory. This helps you get the turn 1 full blitz most of the time, because you can switch an energy from one of your bench Pokemon that you attach with Tapu Koko to your active and get it attacking. You know, so, you know, speaking of switching energies, we have Tag Switch. I have 2 copies of Tag Switch in this deck. You're just going to use this mid to late game when you want to switch energies off your tag team. Like, if I've attacked with Pikarom, if I've already done a full blitz, you know what I'm saying, then, you know, Pikarom has done its part. It's done its service. I don't need energies on Pikarom anymore. So I can use Tag Switch, take the energies off of Pikarom, and put them on another Pokemon. I could take them and I could put them on a Zeraora who can attack, or I could put them on a Tapu Koko V who I could use to attack. Or I could put them on Choo-Choo who I can use to attack. Or what I could do is, after I full blitz from Pikarom, I could Tag Switch the energies off of a Choo-Choo, put them on the Pikarom, and get ready for a Tag Bolt GX. You know, that is also another option. But you can only switch them from a tag team. You know, which is what this deck does. It basically powers up tag teams with full blitz, things like that. So this card is absolutely phenomenal. If you're not running it, you need to run it. That's all I gotta say. Two copies of Reset Stamp. Oh man, the lighting is really getting these cards right now. Both players shuffle their hands into their decks and draw cards equal to the number of prizes that they have. So it's basically like in, but in an item card. You know, if you have more prizes than your opponent, you would draw more cards. If you have 5 prizes, you draw 5 cards. If your opponent has 3 or 2 prizes and they've been like kicking your butt, you can make them draw 2 cards. Shuffle their whole hand back in and make them draw 2. This is really good if they like sit there and amass a really, really big hand, like maybe 13 cards, 14 cards, and they've been kicking your butt and they've been taking prizes. You can sit there and go, okay, reset stamp. Reset stamp them back to 3, 2, or maybe even 1 prize. And you could basically set them back a little bit, you know, and make a little comeback because of that. So reset stamp is very good in checking your opponent. We have ourselves 1 copy of Great Catcher. Great Catcher is in here to basically pull up your opponent's GXs. There are no EXs in Standard, so they're just GXs. So this is good for pulling up your opponent's GXs. Discard 2 cards and bring up a Pokemon, bring up a GX Pokemon, GX or EX Pokemon from your opponent's bench to the active spot. This is very good for pulling up things like other opposing Pikaroms, other GXs and other decks, things like that. You can pull up the dedennes, knock them out, things like that. This is still very good, so it deserves 1 copy. Let's see. Do that. 1 copy of Stadium Nav. I really don't know if you guys can see that, but this is Stadium Nav. What you do is you flip 2 coins, or you could roll 2 dice. If you get heads, for each heads that you get, you can search your deck for a stadium card and add it to your hand. This card is busted. The reason why this card is busted is because you can search this out for Volkner. So Volkner can get you Stadium Nav. And with Stadium Nav, you have a 50% chance most of the time of getting at least 1 heads. You're basically going to get at least 1 heads every single time with this. You're going to get at least 1 heads. If you get 1 heads, you basically get the stadium that you want. This will help you search out Thunder Mountain, your Lysandre Labs, whatever you want, like, you know, in the game, especially early. So this is very good. I really do like things like Guzma and Hala in here, but this is just so much quicker to get your stadium. Another good thing about Volkner, which I didn't mention, is that Volkner can search out mostly all of these. Volkner can search out electropower, quick ball, switch, custom catcher, energy switch, great catcher, electromag, tag switch, reset stamp. It can also search out your escape board for your jirachi. Volkner can search out all of these, which is why Volkner is the premier supporter of this deck, which is very good. Let's move to the stadiums. Let's see where I'll put this right here. See if you can see that. Yeah, I'll do that there. 2 copies of Lysandre's Labs. Lysandre's Labs, you basically what this does, this stops Pokemon tools from working. So this stops escape board from working on your jirachi. It stops this from working on your jirachi. It also stops opposing escape boards from working. Because it's a tool card. It stops tool cards. This will stop cards like the big amulet or whatever it's going to be called. This will stop things like the little I don't know what it's called. It's a little charm in Sword and Shield that basically adds 10 more damage. This will stop that because it stops Pokemon tools from working. This will stop things like Spell Tag. This will stop things like Fairy Charm Lightning. So any Pokemon tool card that your opponent has attached to them, this will stop it. So yeah, this is going to be very, very good going to the Sword and Shield format, because a lot of players and a lot of decks like to use a lot of tools to attach to their Pokemon. Oh, let me not forget, this will also stop Metal Frying Pan that's going to be in all of the metal decks that are coming out. Zaishin V, Luke Metal, things like that. So this will stop the Metal Frying Pan, which is very good. Very good. And 1 copy of Thunder Mountain. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's Thunder Mountain right there. This basically makes all of your electric Pokemon's attacks cost 1 lightning less. So if Pikarom's attack was 3 lightning, it now costs 2 lightning with Thunder Mountain. Same thing with Choo-Choo. It makes this Tandem Shock. It makes it a lightning and a colorless. So yeah, all their attacks are 1 lightning less, which is very good. Which means I can attack for full blitz for 2 energy very fast. You know, so very, very good stadium card. Then we have 4, 8, 9, 10, 11 lightning energy. 11 lightning energy for your Pokemon, which is very good. 11 lightning energy here. Also, these aren't in the deck, but I want to mention these cards. I don't know if you can see that. Or let's see if I can put it here. 2 copies of Mallow and Lana. These are not in the deck, but I want to mention these because I want to find room to put Mallow and Lana's in this deck. Because I think you need healing within this deck. You need to heal damage. Especially if they cannot knock out your GX Pokemon. If they can't knock out my GX Pokemon, then I would definitely need healing to heal my Pokemon. Because I don't want to sit there with a damaged Pokemon sitting on my bench just waiting for my opponent to great catcher it or custom catcher it up and knock it out because it already has damage on it. And they'll just get an easy 2 to 3 prizes. So I think this is very important to have. I just haven't found room for it yet. But I wanted to note that these are cards that I want to fit in here somewhere. But that's what I wanted to do. Alright guys, sorry for this taking so long. I just wanted to explain everything, explain some of the cards to you and how they work for the Sword and Shield format. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and as always, make sure you take care of yourself and each other. Thank you.